Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Greetings, ghouls and boils. I'm the Ghoul Master, a loving homage to horror anthology narrators of yesteryear. Wait, I'm an homage? Why didn't anybody tell me? You'll hear from my agent about this. But first, let's get to the heart of the matter. I'm here to tell you about the new horror anthology, Memoirs of the Morbid, on Kickstarter in time for Halloween. Memoirs of the Morbid is a black and white homage to classic horror comics from the 40s and 50s, containing 5 self-contained stories by some of the best indie comic creators out there. There's that word again. I better not find out homage is an insult. Anyways, Memoirs of the Morbid is completely done and ready to go to the printer. The comic will be on Kickstarter until Halloween, so don't make a grave mistake by missing it.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, where pop culture gets blasted. And tonight, it's a different kind of comic book. Man, I tell you what, if you've been watching the stream for like more than 3 minutes, you already know that I've been reading comic books since I was 4 years old. Grew up in Sparta, Illinois, where they were all printed, and I had my hands on everything. And one of the sets that I loved the absolute most was DC Comics' slate of horror titles. These were anthologies, 22 pagers that had 3 to 5 stories in each one. How you cram that many stories into 22 pages when it takes 100 issues to eat dinner these days, I don't know. But they used compressinators or something. They got the stories out there, and they were creepy and they were scary, and they had these unexpected fun twists. And they, like Coke in green glass bottles, they don't make that anymore. But somebody's making them again. And with us tonight, we have Mr. Grant Lankard, who is working on Memoirs of the Morbid. Grant, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, RJ.
So is this this is not your first Kickstarter? You've got a couple others to your credit here.
Yeah, I got my other comic book, Beowulf. You can see the poster in the background. And
based on the poem, or just named after it?
No, it's a modernized version of the fairy tale Beowulf. And I have 2 issues of that out, and both of those were kickstarted, and both of those were successful. So we're hoping that Memoirs of the Morbid is going to be just as successful.
So this is your first horror anthology book then?
This is my first anthology. And yeah, so far it's going pretty well.
Yeah. Now this is you got a slate of writers here that you're working with, or a stable of writers is
right
thing I'd be looking for. Any of them written by yourself?
Yes. So all of the in-between scenes, like the narrator scenes, are written and drawn by me. And then I have a story called The Trenchcoat Killer, which was written by me.
Okay. And there's, I think you said 5 stories in this book?
There's 5 stories. There's 5 covers. As you can see, if you scroll through the Kickstarter, each cover has a smaller image from the other 4 covers.
Let's see. Way down. There we go. There's first.
Did you hear that like kind of electronic noise in the background? I don't know what that is.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Hope it wasn't losing connection or something. Okay, so here's the first cover with the trench coat killer. I love this image, the hand coming out of the comic book, and the repeated infinite comic book covers.
Right. So this is kind of breaking the fourth wall. The idea is that this kid, he's kind of a creepy, like, the quote unquote creepy kid at school that I'm sure everybody grew up with. And one day his comic book starts to come to life. Like stuff from the comic book starts happening in his real life. Which, since it's a horror comic book, that's kind of scary for him.
Yeah, he could be reading Richie Rich and stumble over money.
Yeah, that would be much better.
Yeah. It's time to change genres, son. So I do see what you're saying here. Each of these circles is a lead into one of the main covers. So this circle doesn't exist here, but it does exist here, and this is where it gets exploded for the do-gooder.
Exactly. So this is Do-Gooder. This is the story about a monster that's kind of preying on people at the sites of natural disasters. So they're already people who have lost everything, and then monsters like preying on them.
Feeding on their despair.
Exactly.
So to speak. Hello, Hex Allen Comics. Thank you for joining the chat tonight, sir. We're delving into some horror. And now, is this timed to end precisely on Halloween night?
Exactly.
So you counted backwards and from there. The only thing that could be better is actually have it fulfilling on Halloween day, but that's not going to be possible. Am I roboting, Hex Allen? Because I'm using my internal mic here. So if I'm
is that what that noise is?
Oh, wonderful. Well, let me try one thing here. I'm gonna minimize it because sometimes that fixes it. And if it didn't fix it, if I'm still roboting, then there's nothing more I can do. Actually, I can see that the microphone test is picking up my voice. Great. Well, you sound great.
Okay, that's good.
So as long as you can hear me and you can explain your book, that's all people really need to hear. I'm superfluous to this process.
Yeah, so Kisses Cold as the Grave. This is a retro story. It takes place in 1950s Hollywood. It's a leading man actor who has a dark secret.
And this looks like he's being attacked here. Look, it kind of reminds me of Max Schreck. I mean,
a little bit. Like Nosferatu, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so this is a story about this actually takes place during like Middle Ages. It's about a warrior who finds a knife that grants him wishes, but it's maybe a little bit of a monkey paw in that it traps souls in the knife as well.
Oh, okay. I've heard of what was it? What was I thinking? Oh, Katana's blade is supposed to do that in the DC comics, but
oh right, yeah. So then this is the Coaxial. This is about a virus that is causing animals to turn into like kind of bloodthirsty monsters. And so as you can see, the woman there who's kind of pointing the gun at the squirrel, she has a cat, and she's a little bit worried that her cat is turning into one of these monsters.
Yeah, Kitty would go outside now.
Right.
But I'm not sure she's totally thinking this thing through, because it looks like she's going to shoot through the glass, after which point she'll have no protection against these animals out here. Walking Dead squirrel, though, that's pretty cool. So you've got a bio here. You love Superman, Cats, and Elvis Costello. Two of those things didn't make the news today, and one of them did. So,
Right.
did you run out and get multiple copies of Superman today? Superman number 2, I believe it is.
I haven't gotten it yet. Is it good?
I have no idea. I am where I am. My local comic shop is at least an hour and a half away, so I don't get to comics out of. In fact, I do more crowdfunding purchases than I do mainstream now. I'm not enamored of the books anymore. Marvel or DC. Nothing political. I'm just not.
Yeah, they can be hard to read.
Yeah, I'm a Crisis on Infinite Earths kid, so there had to be a reason to tune in, and things had to happen.
So, one of the things to keep in mind with this comic book is that all 5 stories are self-contained. I mean, I don't know if that's part of the reason why you stopped following Marvel and DC, but I know that's part of the reason why a lot of people stopped following them. They just couldn't keep track of what was going on. Like, too many storylines going on at one time.
Too many storylines, and not all of them are in. I mean, we had a lot of storylines in the 70s and 80s with Marvel. We got that. I mean, if there was, and it was very well overseen by the editorial staff. If there was a frost giant fighting Thor in New York and Thor, then by golly, in Spider-Man it would snow, and they would say, "Why is it snowing? Go see Thor number 127 to find out." So it was all this even playing field. Everyone's on the same chessboard. But now it's like okay, is this the alternate timeline? Is this the Max timeline? Is this which Spider-Man is this one? Which Captain America is this one?
Right.
And it's just it's broadened out so much that nobody cares. It's like no consequence can happen to a character. Therefore, there's no suspense. Therefore, there's no reason to worry.
Yeah, so the beauty of Memoirs of the Morbid is all 5 stories are self-contained. You're not going to see, you have to reference this other comic book to understand this panel. None of that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, that was the beauty of all the EC horrors and the House of Mystery stuff, was that they were these short stories, beginning, middle, end, and it always had to end with something you didn't see coming. It was it was very O. Henry in a sense. If O. Henry was horror. So who'd you bring in to be writers on this and artists?
So I mean, a lot of them are indie creators. Brian K. Morris, he's been in the indie scene for forever. He's done horror, he's done romance, he's done pulp fiction more. My friend Dave, he was somebody that I went to college with. He has a lot of experience drawing. He didn't have as much experience writing, which is fine. Everybody has to start off somewhere. And then Ian Mondrick, he does the Tomb books which are also on Kickstarter, and he's had a lot of success with those. The last guy, Matt Miner, he's done just about everything as well. He's done a lot of indie comics. He did, if you're familiar with the rock band Guar, they had a comic book out a couple years ago, and he wrote that.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the name. I just couldn't think of what he had done. It's like, I know he's written comics. I don't know which ones.
Right.
That kind of a thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the indie scene like that.
Oh, yeah. The indie comics are the fun ones anyway, because you never know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
You got some stretch goals here that we haven't hit yet because if I were to scroll back up to the top, find my mouse, you're at 1661. We need 4,000. So
right. I'm a little bit short of the halfway point. It would be nice if we could get that halfway point here soon.
Yes, let's do it tonight. Do it. Hex, go get your buddies. Tell them to buy horror comics.
Right. Hint to anybody watching.
Yeah, and I know that we have people watch who have to have digital copies of things. Well, there it is. You'll get thanked in the back of the book. You'll get your digital copy. of the book, and you'll get all 5 of the digital covers. So
Right.
you won't miss out on anything. I assume it'll be a PDF to be cover,
Right.
stories.
Right. The reason why I did that is I didn't want to have to deal with figuring out what every digital subscriber wanted,
Sure. Make it one and done, and keep it simple.
Exactly.
How many pages is this book? I think I forgot. 6+.
It's going to be a little over 60. The stories kind of range from being between 8 pages and 12 pages. And so with, like I said, there's like a wraparound story with the narrator. So yeah, with all that stuff added together, it's going to be a little over 60 pages.
Now, when you say there's a wraparound story, does one story lead into the other through the wraparound, or is he just sort of like intro, outro, another outro?
Yeah, he basically introduces and kind of outros the stories. But yeah, he cracks some jokes. That's a little bit meta too, because the idea is that he's kind of like a spoiled. I mean, he's basically an homage to like the Crypt Keeper, and it's a little bit meta because he's kind of like a spoiled celebrity who we have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I remember in the video he was, not understanding words. Better call my agent. You'll be hearing from him. So that's kind of cool. It makes you think that he used to be somebody bigger at one point, and now he's doing comic books.
Right.
But you get that digital for 12, and then you get down here to the coaxial cover. So basically, it's a 17. Okay, I'm used to Indiegogo, and I clicked on it to expand it. Don't have to do that with Kickstarter. It looks like each of the 5 covers is a flat out $17 book.
Right. Yeah, they're all the same price, so just pick whichever one you like best. We have a special tier if you want to get all 5, which if you do that, you'll be my best friend. But yeah, and also you can add on covers afterwards. So if you want like 2 different covers, but you don't want to buy all 5, you can do that too.
Sure, that's the great thing about the add-ons that they've added on to the campaign capabilities lately. Is that you can be a little bit more a la carte about your selection, which is good for the buyer, and it's good for the campaign runner because they don't have to sit down with a slide rule and say how many tiers do I need to combine everything into every permutation possible to cover.
Exactly.
And if you're going to get all 5 of them, especially if you're a retailer, hint, for Halloween and such. This is a steep discounted pricing. There were $17 books. That would be $85, I want to say. You bought them all individually, and you can get them all for $59. If you
exactly
this year. And then you got 8x10 prints. Is that and it's all 5 8x10 prints. So you're taking the covers and just turning them into prints.
Exactly.
Is that is like on stiff paper or more of a?
Yeah, it's going to be like semi-glossy paper.
That's cool.
They're going to be good quality prints.
Oh, hey, Pops Van Zant's in the chat here. He's a guy you need to talk to get this book pushed out to his crew as well over at the Comic Related Madness.
Fair enough, yeah.
And
I know I'm a member of that on Facebook.
Well, there you go. And coincidentally, CromCon is wrapping up this month on Halloween night, the same day that your campaign is ending. So, Pops, talk with Grant and see if you can't be part of the pushing it over the closeout stream. There you go.
Right.
You kept this simple. I like it. We said you pick the cover or covers you want. Not a whole lot of stickers and t-shirts and hats. Oh my.
Right.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this is very much like Kirby's work when he.
Yeah. There's definitely a retro flavor.
Yeah, this looks like that Mannheim character that he used to do for Intergang.
I can see that.
A little bit. But yeah, definitely the widow's peak and the hair going back. I like that very, very much. And I like the fact that there's such different styles.
There really is, yeah. There's something for everybody, I think.
You can tell when you switch stories. Um,
For sure.
and somebody has been paying attention to how to do comics, because you can see time pass in these 3 panels right here. She's just getting a little bit more and more rough the longer she's having to live at home and not go out.
Yeah, thanks for noticing that and mentioning it.
That's very cool. We got the scenes here from from Do-Gooder.
Right.
He said this is the monster disguised as a person who goes to scenes of disasters to prey on human beings.
Exactly.
Out of them. Now, this was the one you drew, and you wrote this one?
So I wrote this one. Valentia Perone drew it.
Okay.
I would have liked to have drawn it, but I just didn't have the time. And to be honest with you, Valentia is probably a better artist than me anyway, so it turned out all right. I love the drawings you did of the neighborhood here. Like, it's so spooky, but who in their right mind would live in this neighborhood, right?
Yeah, and it's I like the scratchboard look to it.
Yeah, it's great.
Told you not to do your English essay on John Wayne Gacy. I think that's fairly daring. And then forward to almost a woodcut look here with the succession clause for this medieval story. It's perfect style.
Yeah, right. This is my friend Dave's comic book.
Now, when you say it's his comic book, is this story like part of something of a universe he's got going on already with this knife, or?
No, I just meant that this is his section of my comic book.
Gotcha. And he's got the sword here with the Eye of Sauron on it, or whatever. It's going to capture people's souls, and he wishes. As with all wish-granting things, there's going to be a downside to this that makes you wish you didn't have it.
Exactly.
But don't you didn't have it, because you'll get the downside of the wish.
Exactly.
Now, this is your drawing here, because you did do the interconnected pieces. The Ghoul Master is your guy.
Yeah, this is my drawing, and I drew all the, like I said, like the in-between scenes. I don't know. I don't think there's a better word for it than in-between scenes, right?
Interstitials.
Interstitials. Wow. Okay.
Well, I only know this because the was an anthology of not quite some of it horror, but just fantasy kind of stuff called Gods and Services, and I wrote the interstitial framework that led from story to story to story about the little pop-up shop that wasn't there yesterday, won't be there tomorrow when you desperately need to return this thing that you can't get rid of. And you bought an object that came with a god. The god was determined to make your life better, whether you wanted it to or not, and better in the eyes of the god in question. You've got some stretch goals here. I wanted to go over those quickly here. Well, not too quickly. $5,000. We hit that. You're going to be getting the 3x3 sticker. That's a good size. I mean, 3-inch sticker. That's the size of these stickers right here. So you can see that's going to cover the palm of your hand pretty good. Put that on something, it will get noticed. $6,000. You get the bookmark featuring the logo and a funny comment by the Ghoul Master. And then $7,000. Boy, that'd be the one I'd want to hit, because I like getting the pins. I like stickers, but at some point I start running out of table space. I've filled up the back of the laptop. I've halfway filled up the back of the monitor. And half my table here is my Lego building space for our every other Sunday Lego build stream. So since I got an overhead camera for that, I'm like, well, why don't I just throw stickers on it for the comic books that we've been promoting and give them a little extra push? But after that, I've got nothing left.
Oh, I agree. Like the pin is the best Kickstarter extra that you can get. Well, I mean, I don't know, unless there's something I haven't heard of yet.
Pins and stickers and bookmarks. You pretty much got the basic thing covered for what people put as stretch goals. I wouldn't say that this book lends itself too much to a 3D print action figure kind of thing.
Yeah.
Unless you really want a Ghoul Master statue. Wouldn't be too.
That might be cool.
Yeah. And there's the sticker. So, and you've got the you're thinking ahead here because you've got your Q code on here, your QR codes.
I put my QR code on everything because somebody says to you, "Hey, what is this cool bookmark?" All you have to do is point it at them, and they can take a photo of it, right?
Yeah. So where does that take them?
That would take them to my website.
Which
I'm thinking ahead. It wouldn't make sense to take them to the Kickstarter, right?
Because it'd be closed. Sure. Absolutely. So what is your website? I'll put it out here in the chat so that folks can see where you're at.
It is monarchpublishing.net. I'll put it in our private chat, and you can put it in the show notes or whatever.
I just threw it out there to the chat so everybody can see it, and I will drop it into the description below. Hey, Mike Walters is out there. Yes, I've been told that I sound robotic. Nothing I can do about it. So it is what it is. I'm not going to end the show and just try to restart it because that would be a pain. I'll just be a robot. It would be cool if I could make this happen on purpose, because then on Halloween night I would just dress up as a robot and let it go.
Like auto-tuned?
Yeah, like auto-tuned. I do have voice changing software on here. It works great when the mic works great. That could be kind of fun. So why did you choose to go this particular genre after 2 issues of Beowulf? What made you say this is what we need?
Well, I've always been a fan of horror, and I had some ideas for a horror-themed comic book. And yeah, I mean, I read a lot of different genres. Maybe it's not the best commercial idea to switch from genre to genre, but like I said, I had the ideas, and I wanted to, I guess, kind of follow my muse wherever it led.
Hey, it's comic books. Have as many genres as you can. It's a survival technique. So what kind of horror? That's not me.
It isn't?
That was not me. That was a child running through somewhere.
Oh yeah, it might have been one of my kids.
But what kind of horror is in the book here? I mean, is it like Goosebumps versus Chucky? I mean, we talking like, oh, that was scary, or oh my God, there's blood everywhere.
It doesn't get too graphic, to be honest with you. I would say it's more like kind of creepy horror than kind of gruesome horror. So I think my story is more maybe Twilight Zone-esque style horror.
That's kind. Yeah. I like that. The kind where you can walk away from it's like, oh, that was really cool. I'm not going to forget that. Not wow, everybody's dead. There was a slasher.
Right.
So did you have you collected the reprints and stuff of the old ECs, or were you which ones did you read?
I don't own the originals, obviously, because that's expensive. But I have the reprints. Do I have any up here? I'm trying to look. No. God. I mean, there were good stories in all of the different ones. I can't think of one. I don't know. I think Tales from the Crypt is obviously the one that everybody's heard of.
Sure.
But I mean, Vault of Horror had some good ones too. I don't know. It's hard to say because the writers all kind of moved around, right?
Yeah, they did. One that comes to mind now that I'd forgotten earlier was Harris Publishing used to do the magazine-sized black and whites, uh, late '70s, early '80s. Uh, the original Vampirella publisher, and you had Vampirella, but then you also had Creepy and you had Eerie. Uh, that was a totally new genre in horror storytelling because it got a little bit more mature. Um, and again, not really. Well, I was going to say not R-rated, but I think it got more flimsy in the gowns that the diaphanous attire of the women would be. You could see through it. Yeah, there's
Right.
let's just get right to it. It was naked women in horror stories.
Right.
But did you have any of the EC stories that if you were trying to tell somebody what an EC horror story was like, is there one that always springs to your mind? Like, yeah, that one was the best one. I'll always remember that one.
I like the one that took place at Christmas time, and it was Santa Claus. But Santa Claus is like this axe murderer, and so the little kid sees Santa Claus outside, and he's like, "Oh boy, Santa Claus, let's let him in." And yeah, and of course the horrifying thing is that the axe murderer is dressed like Santa Claus at the end.
Yeah, I remember that. I think that was actually the cover on that particular issue as well, because your perspective was outside the house and you could see the axe in his hand, and it was like a loose-fitting Santa Claus costume. Maniac had escaped the asylum. He was dressed up as Santa. I think one of the ones that stands out for me was in Twisted Tales, which was a later publication. And this one, it tended to be to the more mature. And there was sort of a two-bit crook on the run, and he stays with this woman who's got a beach house because he's picked her up on the road hitchhiking. And she's curvy and built, but she's very shy and reserved. So she's like girl next door inside of voluptuous body, living alone. And he's like, you're here all by yourself. She's like, well, no, but I have an embarrassing problem. And he's like, what? And she whispers in his ear, and he's like, oh, that's nothing. Don't we not be worried about that? So he goes to bed with her, and then he tries to rob the place on the way out. And being there on the beach, he hears all the skittering sounds, and from all the walls underneath, these blue-shelled crabs start coming toward him, and you're like, no getting away from them. Their claws are going like this, and she's at the top of the stairs. She's like, I told you what I had. I was like, oh,
I get it.
yeah, that was that kind of thing. So again, the whole twist, you're thinking one thing, and then you find out, oh, it's another thing, and this one had a double entendre to the third to it.
That's funny.
Now, and that was the best kind of horror, when it was funny, when you could laugh at a good dismemberment, because it usually happened to somebody who deserved it.
Exactly.
So, do you have what are your plans after this book? Is your Beowulf an ongoing?
Yeah, so we're on issue 2, or we've done issue 2 of Beowulf. So after this, I'm going to finish up issue 3 of Beowulf, and then after that, we're going to finish up obviously the 6-issue run, and then maybe we'll think about doing a sequel to Memoirs of the Morbid.
Okay, because it'll probably be close to Halloween time again.
Exactly.
Are you staying away from like any other genre, any specific genres, like superheroes? Nah, it's not us. Or
I mean, Beowulf is kind of superhero-y. I mean,
it is.
It's about a guy who fights a dragon, which I would call it superhero / fantasy.
Now, is your Beowulf story like a literal translation where it's like it's happening back at that time, or is it more of it's the same story but we're going to tell it in the 37th century kind of thing?
So the idea is I don't know if you can see my poster.
I can when I give you the screen.
There you go. Okay, so there you go. So Hazel and her cat Mooney discover that a cat has woken after a 1,000-year nap. So it's Mooney. Mooney can speak, by the way. Mooney's idea is to go after the reincarnation of Beowulf, who unfortunately has been reincarnated as a 30-something slacker.
Okay. And who is your Grendel in?
So it's the dragon. I mean, eventually we're gonna do a prequel where he fights Grendel, but for this one, he's just fighting a dragon.
And a cat, apparently.
Right. Well, the cat's kind of his sidekick.
Gotcha. So you finished the second one. You got 4 more to go. Are you on a regular schedule? Like, this happens every 3 months. This happens as we can get them done.
Yeah, about every 3 months. We're gonna take a break for Christmas, just because I've heard doing a crowdfunding thing around Christmas is a nightmare.
Yeah, it's futile.
Yeah, but after Christmas, we'll do issue 3 of Beowulf.
All right. Trying to think if there's anything more I wanted to ask you about. Your company, Monarch Publishing. I'm surprised no one had taken that. So,
I mean, I'm sure somebody's done Monarch Publishing before. I didn't get to. I mean, I'm not. I mean, this isn't gonna compete with Penguin, so.
Well,
maybe one day. Who knows?
I just figured if they existed, they would have claimed the domain.
Right.
So that's kind of surprised there.
Fair enough.
Maybe they haven't. I think the only Monarch I can remember is the Monarch Playing Card Company.
Right.
So yeah, probably no publishing companies. It just strikes me as odd. It seems like the name of a publishing company that should exist.
That's why I picked it.
So thank you for making it happen. Grant, is there anything more about this comic or about your publishing company that you want people to know about before we wrap things up here?
Just I hope everybody at least goes to Kickstarter and checks it out. You can also go to my website, which I think I already gave you, monarchpublishing.net. You can go to my website and get a free sample of the comic book. I think it's about 7 pages.
Hey, that's very cool. So 7 pages would be almost, now it's like surely not 7 consecutive pages. That would be almost a whole story of the book.
Right. It's 2 pages from one story and 5 pages from a different story.
All right. Everybody head over to monarchpublishing.net and check that out, and then come back here and get the whole thing. If you wonder where that's at, well, the link is right down there below the video, and it's also at the top of the chat over there while we're still live, so you can click it anytime. And
yeah, there's a big button at the top of the website that says free comic book. So all you have to do is press that, and we'll take it right to where you get it.
You can't miss it. Free comic book. That's that's like saying click me now.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Grant, thank you so much for bringing Memoirs of the Morbid here for us tonight.
Hi, Doris, who just showed up.
Hey, Doris. Glad you're here. Always happy to see our regulars pop by and say hi.
Yeah, you're right. As I'm leaving, I guess.
Well, that's usually how, because there's the good shows, and then we pop by and say hi. See if RJ. Yeah, RJ's still broadcasting. Wow, he doesn't give up.
Oh, is that what happens?
Yeah, that's what happens in my mind anyway. We really want to have a show. We let Marmalade run the deal. He's the puppet. Everybody loves the puppet. Anyway, folks in the chat, thank you so much for showing up. Definitely do hit the share button on the video so that we can get Grant's book in front of more eyeballs. Get this $4,000 goal done in the next 19 days. Be very much of a treat to have on Halloween in his little goodie bag. So let's make that happen. And as always, while you're here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.